Hey, everybody. It's the man they call Dave and AJ Strangebrew. And we're going to talk about wrestling. And God damn, we need some energy for this. AJ, tell us what we got.
Well, you say that we've got fans, and I know they're working hard, so they're going to need energy. But when they get energy, they want jitterless energy, and nothing's going to jack you up without the jitters like Dubby. If you get an opportunity, check out all of their merchandise. They got the coolest shakers. They've got so many different flavors, and it literally will keep you going all night long. It is Dubby. Check them out. When you go to their site, put in fans working, and we're going to give you 10% off on any order that you put in. And then you could be as jacked up as me and the man they call Dave. Dave, speaking of being jacked up, what do you got for us this week?
10%, baby. Check it out. All right. What do we got? First things first, let's get right out of the gate. Let's talk about we got a new world championship coming our way. WWE World Championship. We're going to go back to two champions. We are very much there's things we like about this and we don't like about this. We can start off what we don't like first. Being old school traditionalist guys, we like having one championship in a company. If you're a completely separate company, of course you're going to have another champion. But in a perfect world, shit, I'd have one world champion all around and get these old promoters to work together, Go back to days where you had a touring world champion.
Yeah, I miss the old territory days when one world champion would come in and out. To me, it added prestige, and then you would have that world championship actually mean something because when the person came to town, you knew your main event was going to sell out because how much more does it mean with a main event if you've got that one champion defending against your biggest star in the territory?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the way they went into this, too, like we talked about it too, like Triple H put over the success of Roman. He said, good on him, but he worked himself a deal where he doesn't have to wrestle as much, and that's good on Roman, but it's not good for the company, and it's not good for fans. And it's like, well, that kind of shits on your champion a little bit, one. And two, how smart are you guys then? You gave him the deal.
Well, it also shits on the company because we don't work in a time period where everybody goes, well, he won the belt, so therefore, there's nothing we can do about it. We all know the promotion is picking the champion, putting the belt on the champion. There's no kayfabe like it used to be. So it literally makes the company look stupid. And it's not the first time. I mean, Brock Lesnar defended about 4 times in his last title reign?
Yeah. Now, I mean, and now that's when we get to the point where we kind of like this belt a little bit too. Because Brock, while that was going on, we had another champion who would defend a title and we'd get our champion this way. Now, what I like mostly about this is, and I think we agree, if done correctly, we're going to elevate somebody else into this, right? I mean, maybe not right away. You want an established star, and I think you have to be careful who you pick as the established star. But, like we said, we both don't want Cody to win this because we believe Cody should finish his story, as he would say, and go after Roman and win that title. Otherwise, this looks like you just made a title for Cody. We don't want that. But there are guys you can put this on, and you can create some new storylines and some interest. And one thing WWE has done well, you said this yesterday when we were on the phone, is we have actually now built up some stars who we can all see as a champion.
The one thing I'm nervous about, though, and I'll be honest with you, is the last time they did this, they put the other belt on Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre worked his ass off to really bring prestige to the other belt. And then Drew McIntyre's basically been made a second-class citizen in the WWE since then. So I don't want to see it happen to another champion where they're going to actually work them, and then they become that secondary person who then is just fed to Roman.
Absolutely. I think that's why we were talking about maybe Seth Rollins would be the guy. He's the one guy Roman didn't beat when they wrestled. So to me, there's a great storyline out for that too. You could always argue that Roman might have everybody else's number, but he doesn't have mine.
Well, now wait a minute, because with Roman Reigns' championship run, he's won a lot of his matches thanks to the Usos, thanks to
Yeah,
other people interfering. So there's a lot of people who can legitimately say, "Well, you didn't really beat me. You freaking
sure.
overcame with the whole bloodline there."
Yeah, I think
But
Seth, just because he was one that didn't even get pinned or submitted in that situation too. But yeah, I mean, and if a guy's a good enough promo, Kevin Owens, we're looking at you, that he could get over anyway, because Kevin Owens is one of those guys legitimately can just talk you there. And we talked about this before, how big over Sammy was. And I love Sammy, and I would not have a problem with Sammy getting this belt either. But Kevin Owens is that guy to me. Like, he's that guy. He reminds me of an old school Dusty Rhodes, where he looks like the common man, you know, a little heavier, but he can talk you into the building, and then he can do things you don't expect, and he can go.
well, he reminds me more of Dusty Rhodes than Cody does.
Yeah, yeah,
So
absolutely. Now, I
that
guess one other thing we
Cody,
want to talk
Cody,
about
we
is,
talked about this also yesterday. Cody has more of the flair edge to him with the fine suits and the good clothes and the
yeah.
pretty looks than he does Dusty Rhodes to him.
What do you think is how do you think they're going to decide this championship, or what would you like to see?
I'm hoping for a tournament, maybe in a place like Rio de Janeiro, where we can really, really focus on this. Now, they're supposed to have a new crown jewel coming.
Right. Well, it's going to
I
be
don't
called Night of Champions.
Night of Champions. There you go. So they're going to have that. That would be a good opportunity. Why not do a one night tournament,
Yeah.
bracket style, like they did for WrestleMania, and bring your best wrestlers and do it all in one night?
And it was originally supposed to be King of the Ring, and they changed the Night of Champions, obviously. So I say still, yeah, do the tournament. They probably, I would imagine, something tells me maybe there was a change in direction somewhere. Like maybe a certain older man came back and he said, we don't need a King of the Ring. Or he probably said, let's do something bigger. Let's crown a new world champion, you know?
First of all, that is a horrible Pat Patterson impersonation. Secondly, he's dead. Oh, wait a minute. You mean Vince? No, I agree 100%. I like I said, one of our fondest memories from one of the early WrestleManias is Randy Savage going over at WrestleMania and
Yeah.
getting the belt and having that big push at WrestleMania 4. It really is just a fond childhood memory. So if
Yes.
we're able to do a similar thing here for Seth Rollins, I think it could be really good for him.
Yeah, I like maybe we could do some kind of storyline with that too, with some kind of love interest where you know, two friends turn on each other. Maybe Dominic and Damian Priest, right? Maybe Damian gets a little too familiar with Ripley, right? And pisses off Dominic, right? And we get this build where Dominic's coming after Ray, you know, or coming after Priest. He's like, you got lust in your eyes, Damian. Oh yeah. What do you think?
I think it'd be good, very good for Dominic if he left Damian Priest alone.
Very believable too, right?
Yes, yeah. I don't believe Dominic can actually beat up Rhea Ripley.
I don't believe she can beat up Ripley. Oh, I'm not so sure Finn could beat up Rhea Ripley. I don't.
No, but
Yeah.
but I would leave Damian Priest alone.
Yeah. No. I think Ripley's the second badass in that group.
That's yeah. If I was both Finn and Dominic, I would leave her alone.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, okay, so let's what's this real early, and we're gonna probably have another chance when they actually announce something, but let's make an early wild prediction. Who's our top 3 to win this title?
I mean, I'm with you. Seth Rollins is number 1.
Okay.
Sami Zayn,
Yeah.
to me, has got to be in that top 3.
Yeah.
And I would love to put Kevin Owens in there.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I have to actually put, and this is without having the draft. I think the
Right.
draft would make it a little clearer. Knowing
gonna
where
find
Roman
out,
is and knowing who's on the other brand will actually make it a lot clearer. But without the benefit of the draft, I have to go. Oh God, let's go with the dark horse, Bobby Lashley.
Okay. So I'll go Seth. I'll agree with you on Sammy as number 2, and then my dark horse pick, I'm gonna go Jey Uso. I told you the storyline. I thought, wouldn't it be something if Jey and Jimmy don't win tonight, and then Jey ends up getting drafted to the opposite brand, wins this tournament, and then him and Roman do a unification match down the road.
So because we talked about it ahead of time, I purposely did not take Jey Uso
Yeah,
because I knew that that was going to be your go-to, and I
right.
didn't want to steal that thunder from you. I do like that idea. I don't see it very probable at all, only
No.
because I think that they're going to be on the same brand. I think the Usos will end up on the same brand with Roman, so it doesn't make sense to me that he would have the opportunity.
Well, speaking of brand, um, we didn't talking about this, but I just heard this morning. Apparently, PW Insider was reporting. Might be in their elite section, but I found it in one of the other, I think Forbes or something like that. Braun Breaker and Cora Jade are supposed to be at the SmackDown taping tonight.
So
So, do you see that
PW
happen?
Insider has been putting a lot of stuff in their elite lately. So I have
Yeah,
not read a lot of their stories lately because I don't pay for the elite.
right.
I don't blame them for it,
Yeah.
but there's so many places to get reliable information these days that
Mhm.
having to pay for it is not something that I'm going to actually do.
No, actually, so when I just was looking up stuff to do some content, this article actually quoted PW Insider's elite section, so that's why I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, thanks for that. Glad you
Yeah,
did
like I
that."
said, no problem with them charging for it. By all means, go ahead.
Yeah, but
But to me,
you,
when you got a website full of commercials on it, and you've already got all kinds of ads throughout you're probably bringing in enough money and don't have to put every article on your elite section.
well, let me ask you then, and I'm gonna throw one more idea at you before we go on to the next subject. Is there a possibility, would you say, as a dark horse, that a guy like Braun Breaker or somebody comes up? Although obviously he would be going to SmackDown, and we think Roman's going to SmackDown, but a Braun Breaker comes up and he wins the title.
Well, considering we've seen how they've used other NXT superstars, maybe you remember Karrion Cross, who
Mhm.
could legitimately go for any title at any time, and the way that they've managed to make him into the killer that he is. Um, I don't have a lot of faith in anybody from NXT coming up and being made into anything.
We'll see. This is the first time really we're getting NXT from not the classic NXT. We're getting NXT stars. They've held off on bringing up from anybody from
Now,
NXT in recent years.
he does have a shot, and here's where he's got a shot. He's got the lineage of being one of the Steiners, who Vince obviously knows the Steiners. That's the and Vince could look at him and go, well, he's not one of Triple H's guys. He was there after Triple H.
Right.
So hey, maybe he's got a shot.
He's not an indie guy, right? Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see. Now, a couple other things I want to talk about. Bad Bunny. We had talked about. We speculated for a long time it'd be him and Mysterio against Priest and Dominic. It's not going to be Dominic, and I'm sure they'll be at ringside or something. But it's going to be Bad Bunny versus Damien in a street fight match.
Yeah, well, now in fairness, one on one, a street fight is the way to go
Right.
because there's only so much that you can actually do in a one-on-one match to cover up any limitations anybody has. As much as I like Damian Priest, his in-ring work is not really where it needs to be yet to be at that next level.
To carry a
And
guy like Bad Bunny, who's talented but not a seasoned performer.
and that's what I was going to say. Between the two of them, if it was a catch-as-catch-can match and just stuck to the ring, I think that it would absolutely suck. Now, the fact that the two of them are being put into this street fight, that means they can use weapons. That means they can go everywhere throughout the building. And there's emotion in there. And they're former tag team partners.
They're former tag team partners. It's a street fight, and it's in Puerto Rico, where Bad Bunny's from. And Puerto Rico has
Oh
not had a
God,
big
if you
show
don't
this
think that that place is sold out and going to be on fire for Bad Bunny, that's he can't even walk down the streets in Puerto Rico.
I would say this is the best job you could have done with a secondary show with no world title on the line. You got Brock Lesnar versus Cody Rhodes and Damian Priest in a street fight with Bad Bunny in Puerto Rico. This is probably the two biggest special attraction type matches you could have put on right
The only way they could make this bigger is if it was Savio Vega versus Abdullah the Butcher.
now.
Or actually, if he's wrestling in Puerto Rico, it'd be TNT versus Abdullah the Butcher.
Yeah, maybe Carlos Colon could be in there as well too. But yeah, so I mean that was it for WWE. I guess before we get out here, we'll talk a little AEW. The four pillars.
You're not going to talk about the fact that
I
Brooks and
like.
Jensen are back together? That's the biggest storyline of the week.
Yeah, sorry. I did see that actually. I saw
She
the hug
broke
at the
his
end.
heart, and thank God they were there to pick up the pieces.
They were there. They were there. Yes, they were. I actually, we're setting up for a Braun Breaker Carmelo Hayes match again. I see too. Braun speared him through whatever that was. There, some kind of wall.
It looks like they built a retaining wall and then just put him through it.
I saw Indy Hartwell. Looks like she got legit injured and came
Oh
back.
no, her leg bent in a way that nobody should. And then she finished the match. I haven't seen anything since then about her being injured.
Right.
But if you watch that in slow motion, her freaking leg bent.
Yeah. So, yeah, she got back in there. They got to the finish of the match, but pretty wild.
Which is a shame because I was going for Roxanne Perez.
I like Roxanne. I'm thinking Roxanne might get called up.
I will tell you this. I do actually like Tiffany Stratton as a heel.
Mm-hmm.
That's people want to boo her, and she gives it to them to boo them.
She's the type of girl that Vince would probably want to promote too and push.
How great of a tag team would her and Lacey Evans be?
I could see that.
You have Lacey, who's a rugged country girl, military. Put her with Tiffany Stratton and have them play off each other.
Now, let me ask you, though. I wanted to get to this AEW thing before I forget. The 4 pillars. I did not like. I like some of the interaction because MJF and Sammy are so good. Like, they're so good.
Yeah, their interactions are great. The 4 pillars themselves in the matches have been straight garbage.
Well, the book in here, like where we got this disqualification and we walk away with no. Sammy and MJF did it now. They won, but now we're doing this thing. Wow, you guys screwed everybody, so we got to have a tag match now. And if they win the tag match, they're in.
The booking makes no sense whatsoever. That's what if Tony Khan wanted to go, hey, listen, you screwed everybody over. Here's what you do. You just make it a fucking 4-way match.
Right, yeah. You're still
make
in the
it
match,
a pillars match where
yeah.
everybody's actually involved in the match. Put all of them in there so you don't know which way Sammy's going to go. Is he going to help MJF? Tag match?
Right. Oh, hey, and here's a nitpicking thing I didn't like, too. This is just a little nitpicky. That's probably just me, again, a little old school. I love Tony Schiavone. But Schiavone calling MJF a prick and tell him, like basically do something about it. No, Schiavone's a talent. And at that point, MJF needs to go there and beat his ass. You don't get to talk to a pro wrestler like that. We're supposed to be, you're supposed to be intimidated by these guys.
See an almost 65-year-old man who's an announcer call him a prick and tell him to do something about it, emasculates your world's champion.
It really does. I didn't like that.
We know MJF can play the coward, but to be a coward to your announcer?
Right. They had Sammy holding him back, but still.
Another thing that I'm a little going to nitpick a little bit this week, and I know it sounds like we're going after AEW. I love AEW. I hope I support AEW. I want them to do well. I got some nice stuff I'm
going to say about them anyway, so go ahead.
But to Takesha, what is it, Takeshka? I didn't like the way they played that out.
No, you made him look like an asshole too, and I'll tell you why. Because at the end of the day, he ends up looking like he was going to side with the Combat Club, and then they end up beating his ass, and then they start to go save him. So what the hell?
Well, you made everybody look weak in that. You make the Elite look weak because now they're helping the guy who didn't side with them. It's just absolutely insane.
Yeah. Hey, Randy's happy going back to a 4-way match. I have no problem with the 4-way match. Again, I just think I didn't like the way we got there. I think there was a better way to get there. Now, one thing I do
Wait a minute. What 4-way match?
He said he's happy they're going to go back to the 4-way match. I think he's talking about eventually we'll get to the 4 pillar. He said basically Darby and Jungle Boy, we expect them to win next week.
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, to the best of my knowledge, it wasn't made a 4-way match yet. Tony Khan should have actually just straight made it a 4-way match.
Yeah.
He should have came out and said, listen, you guys are trying to screw over the company. You're tarnishing the belt. Let's make it a 4-way match.
But some good stuff I want to bring out AEW. We talked about the Owen Hart tournament will be back. And what I loved about this is they had footage of Owen Hart from New Japan as they introduced this. I thought that's one thing that's really cool. I like that Tony still has this relationship with different companies. I like that we're using footage. And I like that we're incorporating the past as we build to this. And as me and AJ talked about, and some other people have figured out, the finals of this Owen Hart tournament is going to be in Calgary, and that date is on a Saturday. So it does look like we will be getting a Saturday show. So we'll see.
Matter of fact, to me, if you're going to debut the Saturday show, debut the Saturday show at the end of the Owen Hart tournament and make that your first actual Saturday show.
Yeah, I don't remember when the finals was, but obviously you have the Punk possibly coming back in June. I think the finals might be. Yeah, the finals must be in June too. Because
I thought it was in June also.
Yeah.
Did you hear about Punk backstage at Raw?
Yes. And I thought that was interesting. The story goes that he was doing commentary for an MMA group down in Florida, and he happened to be on a flight with some WWE guys and talked. A lot of people were speculating that he was probably just trying to drum up interest in himself. And apparently Triple H and him were talking. They shook hands, but he had to ask him to leave. He had to call Vince, and Vince said that he'd leave. And everybody seems to be the assumption that that probably is because obviously the WWE was speculated for a contract tampering a while back, and you probably don't want somebody's high profile as Punk back there.
but there is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Malachi Black,
and
Andrade were both at the Hall of Fame, and you could actually see parts of them on camera during the Hall of Fame.
So is Murphy.
And Murphy, yeah. So they had actual people that are in storylines with Malachi Black and Murphy. And then Andrade, who's one of the people that they've been accused of tampering with.
Right.
Actually, they're at the... But, Dave, I got to ask a question here.
Sure.
Randy Osgood, are you still there?
I don't see it right now, but go ahead.
That's too bad, because, Randy, I was going to remind you, buddy, because I know you work hard there on the farm. I know you really break a sweat, and sometimes you need to find that extra energy. Randy, get yourself out there. Go on to Dubby's website. Pick up some of this. I've actually got the Calio cream. It's like a creamsicle. It's an energy drink. It's not going to give you jitters. And for you, Randy, just between you and I, put in fans working and get yourself 10% off.
There you go, guys. And if you want to check out something else, did a little bit of pep in it.
Read about the Northern Wrestling Federation in the book presented by Russellville.com, The Pro Wrestling Vault, Volume 2. Hear the story of Roger Ruffin, the man who trained Carl Anderson, the Monster Abyss, Jordan Clearwater, Chris Harris, and Jillian Hall.
Plus 45 other short stories, including Jazz, Bobby Eaton, Kamala, Thunder Rosa, Mario Mancini, Scott Casey, PJ Black, Kerry Morton, Sal Renaro, Jeremiah Plunkett, Colby Carino, Bam Bam Malone, and many others.
Get your book today at Russellville.com. Russellville. It's where wrestling lives.